At the beginning of the story, we see a girl named Vita. Suddenly, a noise wakes her from sleep. It feels as if the sound is coming from outside. She can hear strange noises throughout the house. There is no one inside the house, and she starts wondering, where has everyone gone? At that moment, in the middle of the night, she sees someone walking outside. Vita goes out as well, but there is no one there. Then she notices that her mother is sitting on top of a tree. Suddenly, her mother puts a rope around her neck and hangs herself. Vita runs and grabs her mother's legs, trying desperately to hold her up. At that moment, she notices her father standing strangely, watching the tragic scene. Beside him stands another woman. Neither of them tries to help. Sometime before this incident, in December 2001, showing two siblings, Vita and Dewey. Shortly afterward, their father Eddie returns home from work. Both children happily welcome him. Next, Jurniati, a housewife, is shown working at her own salon. After some time, a woman named Rini comes to get her hair done, but she insists that Jurniati herself must provide the service. Jurniati agrees and asks her to wait. Meanwhile at home, Eddie and Vita are cooking nila fish in turmeric spices. Vita asks, "Abu, why do you like cooking nila bumbu kuning so much?" Eddie replies that it is his favorite dish. His father used to cook it for him, and now it is his turn. "You should learn it too. When you grow up, you'll cook it for me," Eddie says. Vita promises that when she grows up, she will cook the dish for her father. When all the food is ready, Vita wants to eat immediately, but her father tells her to wait because their mother has not returned yet. After some time, their mother comes home after working all day at the salon. She asks Vita, "Boss, what did you cook today?" Instead of answering, Vita goes to call Dewey. Dewey also walks toward the table without looking at his mother. Both children are closer to their father. This makes Jurniati feel sad. She thinks the children do not value her. She then asks Eddie, "Are the children upset with me because I'm busy with the salon?" She says that if he wants, she can stop working and just take care of the children and her husband. Eddie calms her down, saying that her work is also for the children's benefit, and that he will try to handle the children himself. The next morning, Dewey is going to play in a football match. His father tells him to try to win, but even if he loses, he should learn from it. He asks Vita to take Dewey to the field. Vita asks, "Why does mom go to the salon even on Sundays?" "That's why Abu has to do all the housework." Then both children say goodbye to their father and leave. At the salon, Ibu Buran asks Jurniati, "You work even on Sundays? Won't Mr. Eddie get angry?" Jurniati replies that her husband himself told her to go to the salon. Buran praises how crowded the salon is and says that no matter how many salons are outside, she prefers to come here. Jurniati says that a salon is like a place where people grind themselves. It requires adjustment, just like a couple adjusting to each other. Meanwhile, Vita stands on the field watching her brother play football. She calls Dewey and says that she has a stomachache and wants to go home. After returning home, Vita hears strange noises from inside, along with a woman's voice in an unusual tone saying something like, "Yamit kudasai." She quietly walks toward her father's room. When she looks inside, she sees her father in an intimate situation with a woman. That woman is Rini, the same woman who had come to their salon earlier. Vita runs out and starts crying. Her father threatens her, telling her not to tell her mother about what she saw. The once affectionate father has completely changed. He shouts at Vita and even slaps her. Then the scene shifts to February 2002. The father is in a hurry to leave for office work in Palangkaraya. He says it won't take long, just 1 week. Eddie says goodbye to his wife and leaves the house. Vita stands leaning against the doorframe, as if still haunted by the seed sowing tragedy, the illicit relationship from the previous year. Vita then goes to take Dewey to the football field. At that time, Ibu Buran makes polite conversation with Vita and asks, "Why haven't we seen Pak Eddie around lately?" Vita replies, "Abu just went away for work last week." But Ibu Buran is surprised, because she knows that Eddie has actually been gone for almost a year. Later, Jurniati accompanies Vita to collect her report card. Vita ranks within the top 10 and is promoted to the next grade. After that, Vita and her mother celebrate Dewey's 8th birthday together. On the way back from the beach, Buran asks Jurniati, "Why hasn't Eddie been seen lately?" Like Vita, Jurniati answers that Eddie only left for work last week. That afternoon, Vita and Dewey go to their mother's salon. When Jurniati steps outside, Vita sees Rini leaving the salon as well. At this point, Jurniati still does not know that Rini is her husband's lover. Vita has also never told her mother the truth. As Rini leaves, she looks at Vita in a way that feels mocking. That night, Vita wakes up from sleep, her mind still haunted by memories of the obscene incident. Suddenly she hears noises outside and wakes again. It sounds as if Eddie and Rini are together once more. But when she opens the door, she finds no one there. Vita sees her mother walking outside. As she approaches, the figure suddenly disappears. Going further out, Vita is shocked to see her mother sitting on a tree, as if preparing to take her own life. Suddenly, Vita's worst fear comes true. Her mother puts a rope around her neck and jumps. Vita runs to Eddie for help, but Eddie and Rini stand silently, saying nothing. But in reality, this was Vita's nightmare. The next day, Jurniati and Vita attend the engagement ceremony of the Burin couple. Jurniati apologizes and says that Eddie could not come because he is still away for work. She notices that the people around them are actually trying to find out where Eddie really is. Finally, Burin reveals the truth. He and the other neighbors had initially thought that Eddie and Jurniati were separated, because Eddie has not been home for about a year and a half. Jurniati and Vita are stunned. Both of them had believed that Eddie had only left the previous week. That night, Vita keeps thinking, how did they not realize it? Where is Eddie really? The next day, Jurniati tells Dewey, don't go anywhere. Vita and I are going to your father's office. Just then, suddenly, Eddie appears at home. The four of them sit down to eat together. Vita tries to talk to her father, but Eddie turns away and goes into the room with Dewey. He starts searching every corner of the room, as if looking for something. Jurniati asks, where have you been all this time? You've been gone for a year and a half. And now you come back acting as if nothing happened? Eddie answers only, nowhere. I was right here, boss. When she keeps questioning him, Eddie finally gets angry and scolds his wife. In reality, Eddie is searching for the house and land ownership documents, which he wants to use as collateral for a business. But Jurniati refuses to give them to him, because the property belongs to her parents and Eddie has no rights over it. Eddie becomes furious and tries to raise his hand, but Jurniati still refuses to hand over the documents. Eventually, Eddie storms out of the house in anger. At this point, Vita blames her mother. If you didn't work so much, Dad wouldn't have turned out like this. You love the salon more than the family. At noon, Vita goes to her father's office with his favorite dish, Nela bambukaning. She insists that Eddie take the food, but as soon as Vita enters, she sees that Eddie has thrown the food into the trash bin. Vita's heart breaks when she sees her father's behavior. After Eddie leaves the house again, Burin advises Jurniati to find out the real reason behind Eddie's actions. Burin knows an ustaz named Ahmad, who might be able to help Jurniati. That very night, Jurniati and Vita go to Ustaz Ahmad's house. After listening to everything, the ustaz explains, Eddie has indeed been returning home all this time, but not to Jurniati's real home. Instead, he has been going to another woman, one who looks exactly like Jurniati. Shocked, Jurniati asks, what do you mean? There is someone who looks like me. The ustaz explains, it seems that Eddie has been affected by an ancient spell called Dandam Sabda Pandita Ratu. This practice has existed since ancient times. During the colonial era, rulers used it to subdue their enemies. Today, many people misuse this powerful knowledge for evil purposes. The ustaz further explains that Rini, following the instructions of a tantric shaman named Dukun Lazarini, performed meditation, samadhi, for 3 days and 3 nights without food or water. During the meditation, even if wild or venomous animals appeared, she was not supposed to show fear. After the meditation ended, the shaman told her, Rini's wish will soon be fulfilled. The man she desires will fall completely in love with her. He will be afraid, submissive, and obey everything she says. To gain even greater control over Eddie, Rini was instructed to use a pure black chicken, ayam semeni, and smear its blood all over her body. Through this blood ritual, she took on Jurniati's appearance. As a result, whenever Eddie returned home from work, Rini, disguised as Jurniati, would welcome him. In Eddie's eyes, Rini appeared to be his wife, Jurniati. Eddie's desire would then intensify. Jurniati asks, what should I do to free my husband from the effects of this magic? The ustaz replies, you must pray to Hajjud, perform dhikr, and seek protection from Allah. The next day, while working at the salon, Jurniati begins to feel physically unwell. Ningsi says, the fan is blowing toward you. Why do you still feel so hot? A customer asks, why have there been so few customers at the salon lately? Before Jurniati can answer, blood suddenly begins to flow from her nose. When she tries to drink water, she sees a scorpion inside the glass. Terrified, she throws the glass away. Ningxi says that lately she has noticed Jurniati falling sick repeatedly. Everyone realizes that something evil is happening at the salon, especially since grave soil has frequently been found in front of the salon. Upon investigation, it is revealed that there is a form of black magic in which grave soil is scattered in front of a shop to ruin a business. Jurniati takes a sample of the soil to the ustaz. He confirms that it is indeed grave soil, used by malicious people to destroy others' livelihoods. That night, Vita keeps thinking back to the first time she saw Rini, and realizes that she truly did see Rini's face slowly becoming like her mother's. While she was lost in thought, Dewey came and asked, "Why hasn't Mom come home yet?" In reality, Jurniati was trying to find out who had been scattering grave soil in front of her salon. After some time, she saw the person responsible, and it was none other than her own husband, Eddie. Jurniati followed him and eventually discovered Eddie's lover, Rini. The next morning, Jurniati and her children go to Eddie's office looking for him. The employees inform them that Eddie is out in a meeting, so Jurniati asks to meet with a senior official. She states clearly that she is Eddie's legal wife, and that for a long time Eddie has not been returning home nor providing financial support to the family. According to Jurniati's understanding, as a government employee, if Eddie were having an extramarital affair, he should face severe punishment. However, it is revealed that Eddie submitted false information in official records. He stated that Jurniati had died 2 years earlier and that he married Rini 1 year ago. Jurniati firmly declares that she is still alive and remains Eddie's lawful wife. Jurniati then meets Eddie face to face. Seeing his family, Eddie is shocked. Jurniati questions how he could be so cruel as to tell everyone that his wife was dead. She says she sacrificed everything for the family and worked tirelessly, yet the children believe their mother was indifferent to them. Jurniati worked because Eddie never provided for the family, and now she finally understands where Eddie had been spending his money. Most shocking of all, Eddie is still trying to destroy her salon business, even though it is the source of income that supports their children. But Eddie's mind has become completely blinded. He tells them to leave his life. The scene then shifts to Rini, who has now opened her own beauty salon. That night, Eddie and Rini go to a witch to pursue their next objective. The witch summons one of the most powerful demons of the Konoha Kingdom. Eddie states his desires: Jurniati's house and property, a large amount of money, a high-ranking position at work, and even a salary increase to 3 million per day. The demon laughs and says that all of this is easy, but there are 2 things it cannot erase. The condition is that Eddie must sacrifice the life of someone close to him. Eddie hesitates, but Rini nods in agreement. The next day, Eddie begins his task. He secretly enters Jurniati's room and takes a sample of her hair, then takes Dewey's favorite football jersey from Dewey's room, and Vita's favorite hair clip from Vita's room. That night, Rini prepares black coffee for Eddie and says, "They are nothing but burdens in Eddie's life." A few weeks later, Dewey cannot find his football jersey, and Vita loses her hair clip as well. Soon after, a foul smell spreads throughout the house. When Jurniati asks Vita about it, Vita says she cannot smell anything. While searching the house, Jurniati sees a terrifying shadowy figure in one corner, but strangely, Vita sees nothing at all. Jurniati immediately loses consciousness. The next day, Jurniati goes to a peer, spiritual healer, and asks why she is still facing such terror even though Eddie has remarried. She expresses deep concern for her children's safety. The peer gives her a paper with prayers written on it and instructs her: every day after Maghrib, mix rice water with coarse salt and sprinkle it around the house while reciting these prayers. At night, perform tahajjud and recite the prayers again. You must continue this practice for 40 consecutive days. After this, the supernatural terror continues. Objects like flaming fireballs fly in and strike the roof of the house. Still, they continue praying, seeking help from Allah. On the 7th night, Jurniati and her children begin to feel uneasy. When they open the door, they see numerous scorpions crawling around in front of the house. The mother remembers the peer's instruction, that if anything unnatural appears, salt must be scattered immediately. As soon as she sprinkles salt, the scorpions disappear instantly. On the 13th night, while performing ablution, wudu, she suddenly feels something stuck in her throat. She reaches into her mouth and pulls it out. A long strand of hair emerges from inside her throat. On the 30th night, while lying in bed, she is struck by severe pain in her lower abdomen. She asks Vita to recite the prayers. When the pain becomes unbearable, she runs to the bathroom, while Vita continues reciting the supplications. Eventually, the mother expels a large number of worms/insects from her black-pink place, that is, her vaginal passage. On the 40th night, Jurniati's condition becomes extremely critical. She is unable to move or speak. The pair tells Vita to take her mother into her room while he cleans the house. By Allah's will, he discovers a buhul, a black magic binding, buried inside Jurniati's bed. Not one, but 2 magical bindings are found. The pair and Vita burn and destroy those cursed objects. Gradually, Jurniati's condition improves, and she is able to smile again. The next morning, Vita is shocked to find that her classmate has not returned her exam paper. The teacher explains that Vita is not allowed to sit for the exam due to unpaid fees. Vita goes to the salon, where her mother is telling the staff that, due to a lack of customers, the salon will have to remain closed for some time. Hearing this deeply upsets Vita. Vita secretly follows Eddie, who has just returned from the office. She asks her father for money, explaining that her mother's salon has closed, and that her mother can no longer provide money because of Eddie. But Eddie angrily says that Vita is not his daughter, but a puppy. Sometime later, Vita goes to Rini's salon and asks her what she has done to her father. Rini dismissively replies that she has done nothing. Enraged, Vita slaps Rini hard across the face. Rini runs out crying, but is suddenly hit by Samsudin's Supra motorcycle. Seeing this, Eddie becomes even more furious and publicly humiliates Vita. That night, Jurniati holds Vita close and says, "Never go looking for your father again. We can live without him. We will start a new life." As their financial situation worsens, Jurniati goes to pawn her gold necklace. There, she suddenly sees Rini, who has come to buy a black goat. Jurniati warns her, "Stop tormenting my family. If all you want is my husband's old relationship, then tell Eddie to divorce me first." Rini says nothing and leaves with the black goat. The next day, Vita and her friends are in a physical education class. The teacher notices that Vita is no longer moving. Her eyes turn completely white, and she becomes possessed. She feels intense heat and begins screaming. The teacher informs the pair about the incident. The pair comes to Jurniati's house and finds Vita still in a frenzied state. Vita runs to the bathroom and pours cold water over herself. The pair instructs Jurniati to wash Vita's body with salt-mixed water, after which Vita slowly returns to normal. That night, a religious ritual is performed to free Vita from the effects of black magic. Shortly afterward, the presence of a demonic/supernatural force makes itself known. In the reflection of a mirror, a demon can be seen grabbing Vita by the throat. Vita's soul becomes trapped in another dimension, where the demon calls out to her, and she begins to walk toward it. Meanwhile, Rini's actions continue. Every Tuesday night, they are required to behead the black goat and offer it to the demon, in order to gain the power to completely destroy Eddie's family. Just as Vita is about to take the demon's hand, her mother's voice calls out, and jolts her awake. But the devil does not remain silent. It lifts Vita's body and suspends her in the air. The peer also does not remain passive. He begins fighting against the black magic performed by Rini and Eddie. The writer is tired of writing the details, so in short, Vita is ultimately saved successfully. Jurniati asks, "What exactly happened to my family?" The pair explains, "Eddie made a pact with the devil, but by Allah's will, they will not be able to complete what they started. A person ultimately reaps what he sows." A few days later, Eddie begins to feel strange discomfort at the office. When he bends down to pick up a fallen pen, the office lights suddenly go out. A demonic shadow appears before him and demands the promised sacrifice. Silence fills the space. In reality, all of this is Eddie's hallucination and psychological terror. Eddie starts crying in fear, because he failed to fulfill the promise he made to the demon. Rini's condition becomes similar. She begins seeing her salon customers as devils. Her hands start moving against her will, and eventually she begins stabbing her own cheek with a sharp object. Meanwhile, Eddie runs down the stairs, slips, and falls. His head strikes the ground violently. 10 years later, Vita has grown up and is now a kindergarten teacher. Dewey is now a teenager. One day at school, Vita sees Rini's Facebook profile, where she notices the address listed. In short, Vita goes deep into a rural area to see her father. She finds that Eddie now sits silently, because since the accident he has become mentally impaired. Yet Eddie has not forgotten one thing, the hand gesture Vita used as a child when she made a promise to him. Eddie still remembers it. On her way back, Vita encounters Rini. Vita says only one thing: "Take good care of my father."